Hey there, I have another video today. I was in a hurry, I guess, to play with this tropical suite or set of stuff that I got from Stampin' Up. This is the card I made. Just a quick thank you card. And this is the inside. I think it turned out okay. I'm not super duper impressed with this way this flower turned out as far as like the color scheme of it matching. I really like how these turned out, and I kind of really wanted to tweak the way I did my sentiment, but this is what I ended up with, and I think it turned out okay. I did not get any inspiration from anybody on this. This is something that I thought up of. If somebody else did it, I don't know about it, but anywho. So I'll go ahead and get started. I already have my designer paper cut out, and it is 3 3/4 by, I believe, by 5 1/4. I'm not sure. I did my regular layer at 4 by 5 1/4. Well, so yeah, and then this is just a little bit smaller because I wanted to have the white layer in between here. I thought that looked a little nicer, so I went ahead and added an extra layer in there. And then I had my own kind of basket weave embossing folder. It is a Sizzix folder. It looks like this. And it's a thick one, dynamic or whatever you want to call it. So I went ahead and first I die cut out my rectangle using I think it's Stitch So Sweetly is the name of it. Those dies I had to have. Yeah, Stitch So Sweetly. And I just used the biggest rectangle for this. And then for my thank you, I used this label, which I actually am gonna have to cut out another one because I had a boo-boo with one of them, so I'll need to die cut another one of those. But everything else is already die cut. And for this piece, I actually ended up cutting it in half, which is why I have this extra little piece here. And maybe it might look okay with the flat being up there like that. No, I hid where I cut it on the other one. I started out with this larger piece, and I thought it was a bit too much, so I had cut it in half. So I'm going to put this to the side since I already have this half. And I will show you how I did my stamping. Now I do have well, I don't need that right now. I'm looking for my stamp, I lost it. What in the world? Oh, here it is. Okay. For my colors, I used Daffodil Delight, Melon Mambo, and Flirty Flamingo, which Flirty Flamingo is my cardstock. And I really wanted to be doing this the opposite color scheme of how I had to do it. And I guess it's just because I couldn't figure out a good way to do it. I don't even want that one yet. But anyway, what I'm getting at is I wanted how the dark is in the center and then it comes out to the light colors. Even in these plumerias, you know, the same thing, the dark is in the center. I couldn't figure out a way that I wanted or that I could stamp it like that short of stamping the dark on a light color, which that kind of worked out okay. I'm not sure why this just isn't striking my fancy today, but I'm going to continue with it. So I just inked up the hibiscus stamp from the Tropical Suite or stamp set. And I'll just leave it sit for a second. And then I will die cut that out in a moment. Let it dry for a second. And I'm just going to use these scrap here from the Plumeria because I do already have those pieces die cut, but I'll show you how I achieved the coloring on them. It was the, I think it's the no, it's not rock and roll. I just rolled the stamp, or yeah, around the edges. Can't talk today. So let's see. I've got the Plumeria stamp, and I stamped it in the Daffodil Delight first. And then I'll see if I can't get this on camera. I kept it at an angle, and I just rock the outsides around the stamp without touching the middle. And then when I stamp it here, you'll see. And I think that actually looks, you know, it doesn't really matter, but it looks like a real little flower. I really like the way that that turned out. I was pretty happy with that. So I do need to stamp my sentiment, and I'm gonna have to probably die cut that off to the side because I don't have room for my die cutting machine and my camera in front of me here. Let me just clean my stamp really quickly. I have to be really careful about the things that I do that shake this table, so I don't give you guys a dizziness. This is just this little thank you stamp here. I thought that was really cute. And maybe I might even use a different one since I have to go ahead and die cut it anyway. Well, no. I'll just use the same one. Got something wanted there. And I just stamped this in black. I don't know about you, but I store these upside down too. My Memento one, I've had it for quite a while. I got it from Hobby Lobby or Michael's or one of those places, and I was glad Stampin' Up! Sold the reinkers because I think mine, it stamps a lot better now that I reinked it. I guess it was just getting a little old. So I'm going to go ahead and die cut this really quickly, and I will be right back. Okay. There's that. Sorry about that. I meant to do that before I started filming since I can't really show it on camera, but it's a little crooked. But I guess it's okay. Shoot. Stick that up there. Then my flowers, I do already have die cut. This one's a little crooked. I had cut several because I was actually going to put 3 of these guys on each. And I don't know if you can tell or not, I've got a little bit of Wink Stella on there. So I'll go ahead and do that. And for the hibiscus, I just put a little bit like on this stamen here. That got a little heavy. I don't know why. Guess it just felt the need. Guess I'm just gonna add a little bit more to this one. Must have had a glob hanging. Oops, there's another glob. Okay, this is not working. I'm gonna go ahead and cut another one real quick. Okay, I got another one cut out and got my Wink Stella functioning properly. And I'm just gonna put a little bit, I put it on pretty sparingly on these, just to have a little something going on. And then other than that, that was all the prep work for this card. It was actually not too bad. Let me go ahead and get everything over here and I'll start putting it together. I already have my card base scored. I just need to crease it. Make sure it lines up okay. Okay. And I guess what I'll do, because I decided to do the stamping on the inside of my card last, which I guess I was living a little dangerously for the moment. You can see I have my scrap paper where I was playing around with some colors. This was Grapefruit Grove, and I tried to see how a yellow would look on the outside when I was trying to do the darker in the center and the lighter. And it worked okay, but I liked the way that these turned out a lot better. And then I had originally stamped it in the Melon Mambo, which, I don't know, I think I don't know. I think that I'll just have to be happy with that. I keep trying to come up with some other thing for it. So, anyway, I'll get my large stamp again. Make sure I ink it up pretty well. I don't know if I need to ink it more or what. I see a lot of people on this type of ink pad like twisting it a little bit, and that gave me some more coverage, so we'll see. The one thing I do try to do when I'm stamping the inside is, so you can see here on the stamp, I don't know, maybe you guys can see where the stamen is in the center. I try to be careful and notate, take note of where that's gonna stamp when I lay it down, just because I wanted them to kind of point in the center. So I'll ink it up one more time. And for this one, I'm going to move my scrap up here. And where'd my other scrap go? I guess I can use the back of this to protect my back side over here. And again, I'm just paying attention to where that center of my flower is, so I don't drop it. And lay it straight down, pick it up. And then I'll remove my scraps and I'm left with that. And you know, here you can see they're both pointing towards the center. I don't know if some people would pay attention to that at first. I don't know how it would turn out if you just stamped it randomly. Clean off my stamp, and then we'll start putting this thing together. I don't know, maybe I'm not using this enough. I mean, this is all I use to clean my stamps, but you can see what all I've stamped, and everybody else's is usually just dark and blobby. I don't know. Oh well. Alright, so I guess I'm going to attach this first. And I'm just going to use my ATG real quick. I did use ATG and liquid glue for this. I used liquid for my embossed piece since it was so much texture. Try to line this up. Because I put this together and then I adhered it. Well, I guess it doesn't even matter. I'll just go ahead and stick it down. All my stamping's done, so there's nothing else I don't think I could really mess up. I like the way the white on white card layers look. I think it does make it look a little nicer. And see, on this, I said I didn't think I could mess it up, but I put this on upside down. But maybe nobody will notice. So I'm just going to roll with that. I'm going to cover up a good bit of it anyway. I'm going to put a good bit of glue on there because I actually glued that large rectangle down before I cut it in half, and I was able to pull it back up. I didn't leave it sit there very long, you know, and I did bring this in. It's, you know, upper right hand corner, but not all the way, you know, blocking everything over here. I'll give that a second to dry. Whoops. Make sure it's straight. And then I used some of the new ribbon, okay, well, that came with the suite, and I'm just going to roughly cut it. I'm not going to measure or be exact, but I wanted it to go almost end to end. And I did fray the ends a little bit, and they pull apart pretty easy. And then, I don't know, I haven't tried, I'm sure the ATG or snail or, you know, whatever you got would probably work fine, but I just used liquid glue for this. And I used this to hide my seam. Get that, make sure that's straight too. And a lot of this will be covered too if it's not, but. And then you can fray the ends some more once you've got it down and let it dry. Now add a little bit more in here. This, it might be better to use ATG with this stuff because it does soak up that liquid glue a little bit. So just stick that down for a second. Put my glue back. Then, first things first, and I think, I don't know, I want it to be that way. First things first, I laid out my card. And I really wanted to put 3 on here when I was first thinking of doing this. 3 of these little plumerias. And I was kind of thinking about maybe one up here, which I guess I still could. And, you know, have some things popped up and... Or maybe I want this flat and the flower over top. So I just kind of play around with it and figure out the orientation that I like. I think I'm happy with that. I think I'm gonna leave it go like that. So I'll start gluing things down. And this way too, I can kind of straighten my sentiment back up a little bit, since I did manage to die cut it crooked. I'm trying to think of what I want to pop up here. I guess I'll keep this one popped up with some dimensionals. Oops. And I have these big square ones, so I just cut some of them in half sometimes. I think they came from Hobby Lobby or Michael's. Peel that off. And I'm just gonna sit it down for a second. I don't know what that is on there. And I'm just going to use a little bit of liquid glue on these little guys. I did all kinds of practice stamping with these. You can see my practices everywhere. Might just tuck that under there a little bit. Let me go ahead and press that. And I've got one last one, and I'm gonna put some rhinestones down. And that will give me my triangle. I was thinking earlier too, it still looks nice with 2 on this one, even just because I have these 3. So, I mean, you can take it so many different ways. I always, I'm a lot harder on myself when I'm doing my own, but I think in the long run, you know, they're fine. And I'm just going to take my picking tool here, which I have a hard time to get to work with these rhinestones sometimes. And I'll stick one maybe up here. I thought the black stood out pretty well. I don't have a whole lot of embellishing options. I have a lot of these. I think I've showed them on a previous video that have lasted forever. And then I have some Stampin' Up! Ones, but not a lot. So anyway, I think it worked out just fine. And I needed a couple thank you cards, and I was excited to use my new stuff. So this is what I came up with. And I thank you all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and you know, do you just enjoy it. I hope you all got inspired and have a great day. Thank you.